the injury to Trent Williams for the meaning to the team currently is more than the injury to Trey Lance. That's how good I think Trent Williams is. Am
Well,
I
yeah.
overstating it?
I mean, I think the Niners could make the playoffs without Trey Lance. They've proven that a bunch. Can
Without
they
Trey
make
Lance or Trent Williams?
without Trey Lance? I mean, if Trey Lance is gone, they can still make the playoffs. They've shown that. But if Trent Williams is gone, what's the offense going to be? If he misses the whole season, what's the offense going to be? How good can it be? I don't know.
And they say he's going to miss 6 to 8 weeks.
Well, I interviewed a doctor, Dr. Nirav Pandya, last night, and he was explaining, like, it's usually 4 to 8 weeks for a high ankle sprain, but it's different. This guy's a lot bigger. He's older, and this was an injury he had last year. He was thinking it's possible that the high ankle sprain he had last year never fully recovered, and that's why he injured it again. So it's tricky. We'll have to see. I have no idea when he's coming back.
I got it. And so this is really an important detail. We were talking in general about, maybe, it's early in the season, a lot of noise. But if they can't protect Jimmy's back, i.e. no really effective left tackle, Jimmy's not a guy who can scramble.
No.
He's a dead duck.
He's a dead duck. So at that point, if you don't have Trey Lance, your passing game is going to really be tough. I mean, you can pass on 1st and 10 when the defense is really expecting run, like catch them off guard and stuff. But what about 3rd and 7 or 3rd and 5? How are you going to do that? 2nd and 9. It seems tough.
Who would be the left tackle?
Colton Mckibbetts.
Tell us about him.
He was a 5th-round pick a few years ago. They cut him last year. He was on their practice squad, and they moved him up. And he's a serviceable player. He's okay. He can do the run blocking. But again, on 3rd and 8, if he has to go one-on-one on a pass play when they know it's a pass against some of the better edge rushers in the league, you can't expect him to hold his own one-on-one. Trent Williams will beat anyone one-on-one. He's the best. He'd beat Bosa. He would beat Nick Bosa. You've seen him in training camps. Like, Nick Bosa is supposed to be the greatest in the league, and he is. But against Trent Williams, he looks like just another guy. And Trent Williams isn't even breaking a sweat. Just like, gotcha. Good try. Yeah, and now he's gone. And it's what's crazy is he hurt it last year, maybe less than 12 months ago. 9 months ago. And he hurt it again. So the Niners have to be careful with this.
Yeah. So that might be the most salient point we're making today. When you lose a player of that caliber in that position, that's serious. And they, unless they can figure something out, like giving Mckibbetts help. Right?
Yeah, I mean, they'll have to. And the help is usually George Kittle. But then that's one, he's not running routes if he's blocking, and you need him to run routes.
Especially for Jimmy.
Yeah, you do. So, okay, let's think about this. Let's say the worst case happens and Trent Williams doesn't come back this year, although they expect he will. What if the Niners miss the playoffs because of a huge injury? Do you give them that excuse? You know what I mean? Okay. I guess we don't have to go that far. It's kind of down the line, but you know what I'm saying? Do they get the injury excuse?
Would I give them the excuses?
Yeah.
Would Jed give them the excuse?
Yeah.
My feeling
is Jed would.
Jed would.
I think he would.
Right?
I think he would.
I think Jed is softer than Eddie.
I think Jed is softer than Eddie too. I agree.
I do. So I'm not going to say Jed's a nicer person. I don't know either one well enough to know how nice they are.
Yeah.
And although all the friction I've had with Jed, he's always polite to me when we talk.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. He's always a gentleman when we talk.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it's almost like I used to when I was young. I feel I would commit homicide to publish something.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I really would, but it felt like it. I think Eddie would metaphorically commit homicide to win. Yeah. I don't know that Jed would. He'd maybe go behind your back and do something, but I don't think he would do that.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I would compare him more to Jerry Jones. I think Jed's good at controlling the narrative around his team, especially. Yeah. I think he's focused on controlling the narrative more than necessarily winning a Super Bowl because he's never done that. But he likes being talked about. He likes being in the discussion. He likes being in the mix, in the playoffs, a contender. And as long as he has that stuff, he can sort of control the narrative and say, we're a perfectly respectable franchise.
Yes.
I know.
Iggy, let's talk about some other injuries because
Yes.
they're serious. The left tackle is out, and that's the big one. The quarterback is out, and that's a big one. Those are two big ones.
Yes.
Who else?
The running back, Elijah Mitchell, sprained MCL, 8-week injury. He'll be back for the second half of the season if the Niners are still in it. He's a really good player, but that's a big injury.
Is he a better player than Jeff Wilson Jr.?
Yes. Yes, he is. Although Jeff Wilson Jr. is doing a good job.
I understand, but you're saying Mitchell is a special talent.
If Mitchell were healthy, he'd be getting like 95% of the carries right now.
Okay.
Eric Armstead. Eric Armstead missed this game with a foot injury. He could come back, but he's been hurt a lot this offseason. He missed all of training camp. You were talking about football shape, right?
Yeah.
He's not in football shape. And I think that might be why he got injured week 3 after missing all the training camp. I mean, it's football. It's a violent game. And part of being in football shape is the ability to take the violence without getting hurt. Harbaugh called it building up a callus. That was his metaphor. And then there's Kittle. There's Kittle who's coming back, but he had 4 catches for 28 yards, which is not exactly Kittle. And I asked Kyle about that. Is he in football shape yet? And he said, no, of course not. Like, absolutely not. So this is where the Niners are at. And then when Trent Williams comes back, he won't be in football shape.
Yeah, I take this stuff, football shape, seriously.
Me too. I scoffed with Jimmy because it's like, okay, but how good is he when he's in football shape? Is he gonna? Are you gonna blame running out of the back of the end zone on not being in football shape, Jimmy? Come on, dude.
I know, and his footwork and all that.
Yeah, all that. But there is it's true. I mean, maybe his passes won't sink and die as much when he has a little bit more fitness.
I want to give some praise. Eric Armstead is hurting. Javon Kinlaw has played 3 games.
Yes, it's true.
His health was an issue, and I bet he was worried about it as well, Iggy.
Yep.
And I'm praising now.
I was gonna praise him too.
He's hung in there for 3 games. He's good against the run, and he did knock down a pass.
Yep. What I wanted to say, before you cut me off, was that he had a great offseason. You could see it coming. He was there in minicamp, OT. He was there before OTAs working out. He was there throughout the entire offseason program. He was there all the time in training camp. It matters. He's in football shape. It matters. He's in football shape. So you can see it coming.
Are there other injuries that we should talk about?
Jimmy Ward. I mean, he's been out. He's coming back eventually, and he's really important. And that's another guy who has to get into football shape. He's a 31-year-old DB who needs to run very fast, and he's coming off a torn hamstring. So him. But he's supposed to start practicing next week, and Jason Verrett too. So that's interesting. Reinforcements.
Iggy, I had forgotten about Jason Verrett.
I had forgotten about Jason Verrett too, but if he could actually come back, holy shit, what a defense this would be.
Yeah.
And
I got to say, I love Jimmy Ward. Whenever he talks, he is the most compelling character. With a twinkle in his eye.
I went up to him in Minnesota at the joint practice and asked if he'd come back on my channel. And he said, yes, let me just get a few games under my belt first because he likes to talk shit. But he wants to actually have some, some good performances. So he got hurt, and I'm like, So
here's the deal. Yeah. Certain football players understand when you're hurt, you shouldn't be talking.
Yeah, like Jimmy Ward.
Yeah.